Welcome to A Late Show. I'm the Stephen Colbert. The 2020 election is less than 2 weeks away. I'm so excited that I'm not getting any of the sleep I normally don't get. Tomorrow is the second and final presidential debate, for which we will be live, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Tune in to find out which terrible group Trump won't condemn this time. People who won't toss in for pizza because they say they don't want a slice, but then when the pizza comes, they grab a slice. Stand back and stand by. Guys who hover right behind you in line where you're using the urinal, await my orders. Neo-Nazis, as you were, gentlemen. Now, every 4 years, around this time of the election, people start to worry about an October surprise. Well, today, we got more than October surprised. We got October appalled, courtesy of Trump's personal lawyer and man who has to constantly gnaw on a tree trunk to keep his teeth from growing through his bottom lip. Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani appears in the new Borat movie starring Sacha Baron Cohen, who will be my guest on The Late Show on Monday. And it turns out we might have some stuff to talk about, because today we learned that thanks to hidden cameras that Sacha set up in the movie, we see Giuliani reaching into his trousers and apparently touching his genitals while reclining on a bed in the presence of the actor playing Borat's daughter. Jeffrey Toobin, it's over already. Don't worry. The teenage daughter was actually an actress who's 24. And you can still watch without having to see Rudy's tootie, because the scene is quickly interrupted by Borat, who runs in and says, "She's 15. She's too old for you." Never a great sign when the moral authority in a situation comes from a guy who once handed a woman a bag of his own poop. Even before cocktails in the bedroom, Rudy acted like a real jerk-off. During the interview with the daughter, Giuliani drinks scotch, coughs, fails to socially distance, and agrees, at least in theory, to eat a bat with his interviewer. Really? Rudy Giuliani, eat a bat? What would that even look like? Yeah, okay. All right. Now, this doesn't look great, but Rudy says he has a perfectly innocent explanation.
I had to take off the electronic equipment, and when the electronic equipment came off, some of it was in the back, and my shirt came a little out, although my clothes were entirely on. I leaned back, and I tucked my shirt in, and at that point, they have this picture that they take, which looks doctored, but in any event, I'm tucking my shirt in. I assure you that's all I was doing.
Okay, I would buy that, but I watched the footage. Why did you go into a bedroom at the suggestion of a young woman to have cocktails to take off a mic? I take off a mic every night. Never once have I reclined on a king-size bed and then launched a fact-finding mission to my own groin. Anyway, we can't show you the footage tonight, but he's here Monday, and we'll show it then. Sure. Okay, great. Sasha, no holds barred. I don't even know what that means, but it doesn't sound good. Now, no telling yet what effect this footage, if any, will have on the election. So far, the polls in some of the swing states are tightening, along with my sphincter. Especially Pennsylvania, where the latest polls have Biden up anywhere from 10% to only 2%. Come on, Pennsylvania, you don't need Trump. You already have a perfectly good orange monster. Things are so tight right now that in the last 24 hours, Pennsylvania has gotten visits from both Donald Trump and Barack Obama. It's hope and change versus grope and strange. Last night, Trump held one of his outdoor shout and sprays in Erie, Pennsylvania, but he made it clear he wasn't that happy about it.
You know what? 4 or 5 months ago when we started this whole thing, because, before the plague came in, I had it made. I wasn't coming to Erie. I mean, I have to be honest. There's no way I was coming.
Oh, yes. Nothing makes people feel more valued than hearing, "I'm only spending time with you because of the plague, which otherwise I would avoid you like." Trump did eventually pivot from complaining about Pennsylvania to complaining about his opponent.
If you want depression, doom, and despair, vote for Sleepy Joe Biden. And boredom. Because if you had Sleepy Joe, then nobody's going to be interested in politics anymore. That's going to be the end of that.
Oh, my God. That sounds amazing. Here's just a preview of what we could be talking about if politics was boring again. Yesterday, one of my writers pitched a story about a popular internet video featuring a very long door handle. Look how long it is. It fits 3 hands. You want to hear some jokes about that? Sorry, we don't have time for doorknob jokes because I have to talk about a president who's as dumb as one. Trump also went after Biden by playing an attack ad for the crowd. Here's how he set it up.
Tonight I want to do something. I want to give you, this is an original Donald Trump Broadway play. Take a look at this clip.
Yes, an original Donald Trump Broadway play, The Book of Moron. Also, it's worth pointing out, Trump says he's presenting a Broadway play and then plays a commercial. I love Broadway. My favorite show tune is We Have the Meats. Always makes me cry. Because they do. At the end, they do have the meats. But despite the tight race in PA, Trump's down in the polls nearly everywhere and needs to get his message out. Yesterday, he had a golden opportunity to talk with Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes, but evidently she asked him tough questions about his handling of the coronavirus pandemic, the size of the crowds at his rallies, and his disputes with Anthony Fauci, because after 45 minutes, he abruptly ended the interview. No surprise there. Trump always finishes before the woman.
Bam, bam, thank you, Slam!
Not satisfied with just storming off, Trump threatened to beat 60 Minutes to the punch by releasing his own footage, tweeting, I am pleased to inform you that for the sake of accuracy in reporting, I am considering posting my interview with Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes prior to airtime. This will be done so that everybody can get a glimpse of what a fake and biased interview is all about. Da, da, da. Oh, no. Mr. President, on behalf of CBS, please don't post a teaser trailer for this Sunday's episode of 60 Minutes, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Central, only CBS. I hear he walks out. Should be pretty exciting. Now, after fleeing the interview, Trump had a town hall where he continued to stew about 60 Minutes and Fauci.
I get along with him fine, but he's made mistakes. And, when he said he really is stopped from going on television, then you see him do 60 Minutes, not one of the greatest shows in the world.
Okay, word of advice. If you desperately need the senior vote, maybe don't go after 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes is a show for losers. Matlock is one crappy lawyer. And let's face it, Nana, your grandkids are stupid and ugly. So, Trump says and does a lot of dumb things, but we should never let his stupidity overshadow the fact that he's also a heartless monster who must be driven from office and eventually dragged in manacles before The Hague. Because of all the horrible things he and his administration have done, perhaps the horriblest is their family separation policy on the border. And we got some chilling news yesterday in a court filing. You see, last year, a federal judge ordered the government to reunite parents and children that had been separated by the Trump administration. And, well, the appointed lawyers just came back to him and explained that the parents of 545 children separated at the U.S. border still can't be found. We have 2 weeks to decide what kind of country this is going to be. Either this inhumane behavior is going to be punished by the voters, or just change the Statue of Liberty to read, give me your tired, your poor, and $500,000 in unmarked bills if you want to see the kids again. Think about the sheer number here. 545 kids. That's not a child on a milk carton. That's the whole dairy aisle. And yet there are still people who haven't made up their minds. There are still people who are going to vote for him. And I know that people vote on a lot of different issues. But now that we know that these children were stolen from their parents and cannot be returned because of the negligence of this administration, that is one of the things you're voting on. You can't say you don't know. And I don't believe the American people are evil. Maybe 545 kids is too many to wrap our heads around. That's 8 school buses full of children. Maybe we feel too guilty to understand the magnitude of that crime and our responsibility. There's a reason you never see this episode of Lassie.
What's that, girl? Timmy fell down a well? And so did 544 other children? What? They were pushed in there by the Justice Department? Why would you tell me this? Now I'm sad and complicit in the crimes of my government. Bad dog.
And tearing these children away from their parents wasn't some bureaucratic oversight. It was the plan. Cruelty was the plan. According to a recent draft report by the Justice Department's own Inspector General, a top culprit was then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who reportedly told prosecutors at the border, "We need to take away children." Well, that's what you get for choosing Attorney General Rumpelstiltskin. Another guy coming out of this not smelling like a rosin is former Deputy Attorney General and man asking if you'd like to see his erotic stamp collection, Rod Rosenstein. When prosecutors on the border resisted this policy, Rosenstein told them to separate children from their parents no matter how young. Little advice. It doesn't matter what you say. If you follow it with no matter how young, it's going to sound bad. I'll have the veal, no matter how young. Rudy will meet with your daughter in the bedroom, no matter how young. 13 days. Go vote. We got a great show for you tonight. Bruce Springsteen is here. Stick around.